Hey guys, it's Coach B, coffee and tea with Coach B, and guess who we got? We got Shirley. Boy, how you doing, Shirley?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. Now,
Considering,
today is a very powerful, touching, inspirational, emotional story today. Shirley is a grandmother of two. She has another grandchild coming on the way. That'll be a grandmother of three beautiful kids. She has two beautiful daughters, Brittany and Melissa, and she's been hit with some bad news, right? But the good news is this girl's a fighter. She's a warrior, and she's going to overcome her bad news. And I think we've all experienced it before, one way or another. I know I've experienced it. Losing my mom at age 16 to brain cancer at the age of 41. So we're gonna talk to Shirley today about her story, her challenges, and hopefully she can give us some motivation and inspiration and some guidance in her journey right now. So Shirley, thank you for joining us today at Coffee and Tea with Coach B. You notice that we don't have any coffee or tea, right? Today, Coach has lemon water. That's what I got. What do you got, Shirley?
water.
Just water, H2O.
Yeah,
So we changed it
filter.
a bit. So Shirley, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Coach.
Yeah. So Shirley, okay, let's do a little rewind. Okay, I'm 13 years old. You and I are best friends. We're in high school. I think 13 is high school, right? Grade 9, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
what was it like being Shirley at 13 years old?
Well, I was not. I actually was not the most popular girl. I was actually very heavy in
Mm-hmm.
weight, and I was teased quite a bit and not liked because I didn't fit in with the crowd. So it was a struggle for me. Then I became anorexic, so I started losing all this weight, and I became anorexic so I can fit in with the crowd. And I got very sick, very sick.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah, I was losing my hair. I was having some issues with my toes. They were literally in between was rotting because of it was malnutrition. Yeah, it was a battle for me growing up actually with weight.
So how long did you deal with this anorexia and this struggle?
I dealt with it for about a year. Um, I used to vomit my food. I would eat it and then vomit. So I was bulimic. And I struggled for about a year until the doctor said, if you don't do anything about it, they were going to admit me into the hospital and they were going to feed me by intravenous. And that scared me. So I started eating more and gaining a bit more weight, and then overcame that fear of being bigger than other people. But then I was at about 120 pounds, so it was good. I struggled with weight all my life, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But obviously yours was a lot more severe than most people.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. What advice would you give to young girls who would be struggling with that right now? Mind you, this almost is like a whole entire show within itself,
Oh,
ladies and gentlemen.
absolutely.
But what advice would you give to young women, 13 years old, who've struggled with something like that, or who are struggling with that as a teenager, or even young 20s?
Well, I mean, in today's society, it's all about what they say is image. You have to be true to yourself. You have to love yourself and not worry about what other people think of you. It's you're the one that has to live with yourself every single day. It's how society makes us believe that we have to be thin, or it doesn't matter. It's how you perceive yourself. You have to be true to yourself and not worry about what other people say to you. Or I always say to my kids, when someone says something to you or it's something mean, is they have insecurities about themselves. They're not happy with themselves.
Mm, very
So
powerful.
just you have to be true to yourself. And I think watching TV or the news is bad. It's just, it's an image that they want us to be, and it's not right. It's how you feel inside, and a person that you want to be to yourself, not to try to. I'm a little nervous, so no, I mean, but try to allow the world to accept you for the image that they want you to be. Do you
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, I understand perfectly. I heard stay away from the TV, stay away from the news, focus on loving yourself. Right?
Absolutely.
These are very specific things. Be true to who you are,
Yeah.
right? These are very important things. If you're watching this show right now, please take this to heart, because here's somebody, if we fast forward to today, she's doing really, really awesome in regards to managing her health, losing her weight, and feeling great and being great. But we'll get to that. But we were talking about what it was like being you at that age. So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's fast forward. You end up you end up getting married. Obviously, you had some kids, right? Tell us what that was like, getting married, meeting your husband or ex-husband. How did that all come about?
Well, I met my husband where I lived. He moved away, but he still came to the area where I lived.
Which is
Um, Pardon?
which is where? Where was that?
I grew up in Regent Park, actually.
Oh, okay, Regent Park. Okay.
Yeah. They moved away to St. Clair, but he would still come back because he played ball hockey. We liked each other. And then we started dating. I was 15 years old. Yeah, I was fairly young. He was 2.5 years older than me.
Mhm.
Um, so I started dating at 15, got married at 21, and I got pregnant at 22 and had my first child at 23. And
Okay.
then that was Melissa
Hmm.
at 23. And then 27, I had Brittany. Um, and then we moved to Brampton. We bought a house in Brampton.
Oh yeah, that I was born in Brampton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was something different because I grew up in Toronto all my life, but
Mhm.
it was something to get used to. I was pretty homesick, but I end up, I made the best of it. Um, so we moved there, and then we bought a house in Mississauga. So we left Brampton, bought a house in Mississauga. Um, and fast forward a little bit. We were married since 1990. Got November 10th, 1990. Then my husband was diagnosed with, he wasn't feeling well, and he was diagnosed with colon cancer.
Mm.
At that point, when they caught
How old
it,
how old would he would have been?
uh, he's 40, he was 40, he was 40 when he was diagnosed.
Okay.
Yes, 40 when he was diagnosed. So at that point, he wasn't feeling well, his stomach was bloated, thought maybe he was constipated, and thought, so I went to the pharmacy and I got some stuff to help. Maybe he couldn't even pass gas, nothing,
Nothing. Wow.
nothing at all.
Mhm.
He was very swollen, his stomach was quite swollen, and he came home and said, "You need to take me to the hospital." So I took him. At that point, they thought that he had that his bowels were twisted,
Mhm.
and it ended up that they did surgery, and they said the surgery was a success. That his bowel had perforated,
Yeah.
and that they were, slim chance it was cancer. They sent it out. They did a biopsy, sent it out. End up he was stage 3 colon cancer.
Mm.
Yeah. So he did some pretty heavy chemotherapy, radiation. At one point, they had him doing both. The radiation and both were making him extremely sick. So I said, no, can't do that. So he just did the radiation, completed. He had 25 consecutive treatments. And then
25, 25 treatments of chemotherapy.
of radiation. We had
And
to
when you
stop
say consecutive treatments, are you saying every single day he would go in for radiation?
Monday to Friday, 5 days a week for 25 consecutive treatments.
And how long are these treatments?
They were, I would say, an hour,
Okay.
give or take an
And
hour.
how how long? Okay, so obviously this is very intense. It's the family's taken back. Your husband,
Yeah.
the love of your life. You've been with him since he was 15. He gets cancer. I just want to rewind a little bit just for our viewers who are watching this.
Yeah.
Was there any signs before it got really bad? Because I usually find that's how it happens with cancer, right? People will ignore things or things that were, oh my God, I can't believe that's what it was. Was there any signs before that he was experiencing which led to him saying, oh, I got to get this checked out now?
No, that's the scary part, coach.
Hmm.
Um, they asked me if he had any blood in his stool.
Yeah, that's a common one. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
no blood in his stool. He just couldn't go to the washroom for approximately about 5 days.
So he
And
would try to push it out, but nothing. It was stuck. Yeah.
nothing at all was coming out. Not even gas, nothing.
Yeah.
So his stomach at that point, I'm thinking
The
at that,
buildup, it was all in there.
yeah, the toxins were pretty severe because the bowel perforated, but we didn't know that at that point. Even his skin tone was like kind of turning like a yellow
Yellow,
color.
yeah, like
Yeah,
jaundice. Mhm.
yeah. Um, and then yeah, we took him to the hospital. And at that point, they said that they believe that maybe his bowels are twisted.
Yeah.
Um, that they did an X-ray and they saw that he was full of toxins.
Mhm.
That they had to do an emergency surgery, or he would have died.
Mhm.
Um, so we said, okay, that's fine. So they cut him from, like, it's probably about that long on the stomach,
Mhm.
wide open. He went through a lot of problems. He caught an infection after the surgery. Um, it was they had to open the wound up again and have it heal from the inside out. So they had a special sponge in his stomach to suck out all the bad tissue and
Mhm.
bring in the good, right? So it had to heal from the inside out. Um, he had a catheter. It got really bad. At one point, he was vomiting, diarrhea from the chemotherapy and the radiation. But then he went into a remission. He was doing well. He gained a lot of weight. Uh, then it came back into his bladder. So he was
And how
complete.
long from the time he went from remission
Yeah,
to being healthy again? I
it
mean,
was
sorry, to getting bladder cancer. I apologize.
it was about 1 year.
1 year, so it was short-lived.
Yes.
It was
So
short-lived.
he was complaining that he felt like he had to push all the time. Like,
Push, what do you mean, like go to the washroom push?
yeah, like push, like he had to go to the washroom, and
But
his
yeah.
veins were like popping out of his neck because the pressure. And like I said, it's so weird. Like, it was the pain. It was pretty intense pain.
Mhm.
And so we took him to the surgeon. We talked to him about it, and he was saying, oh, it's from the radiation from the tissue damage, which is causing him to push like that.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay. Then they put a pain pump on him. So he had a pain pump that they had to carry around because the pain was so intense. So with that being said, it got worse and worse and worse. I said, he passed out in the bathroom. And I said, no, I'm taking him to the hospital. I took him to the hospital. He was in there for 1 week. They did every test possible, and nothing showed that it was no sign of cancer, nothing at all. So they sent him home a week later. And it was, I think, exactly 1 week after that, he passed out again. He was experiencing the pain, but he passed out once again. I said, no, 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 this is ridiculous. So they got to do something. So I
Mhm.
went to the hospital and I said, he's not leaving here until you guys figure it out. I said, maybe you should check his bladder because he's kind of peeing blood. And that's what they put the scope through the penis and found that his bladder was full of cancer. Yeah.
Wow. So he does chemo, he does radiation, he goes through, it sounds like a very, very difficult time.
Yeah.
What did you learn? What did you experience from witnessing your husband go through?
Uh, well,
What
one
were the
thing,
takeaways?
chemotherapy, I think chemotherapy killed him, to be honest. I'm being straight up honest. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because when he was doing the chemotherapy the second time around,
Hmm.
um, he did one treatment and he was sitting at the dinner table and he was eating a piece of bread. But his blood pressure had dropped from the chemotherapy. So he started choking. So we rushed him to the hospital. But in the meantime, while he's doing the second round of chemotherapy, he has sores all around his nose,
Hmm.
his mouth, and he's shaking like jitters from the chemo. And
Hmm.
he started to lose his hair. So we just shaved it completely off, right?
Yeah.
Um, then he went into the hospital. He had that episode with almost choking because his blood pressure. And the doctors at that point said there's not much more we can do for him, that they will just keep him comfortable. So my husband was very old school. He has a brother that is, he's does a lot of research on what is good for your body. So naturopath, medication,
Hmm.
just what your body requires. But my husband being old school, he didn't believe that. He didn't want to hear about it. So I said, just leave him alone, let him do what he wants to do, and that's it, right? So when the doctors came back and said there was nothing they can do for him, I looked at him and I said, Louis, you know what this means. We need to do the naturopathic medicine. We have to do something.
Yeah.
So we had an appointment with Dr. Zoya, and it's called Stop the Clock. She is an amazing doctor. She knows her stuff. She's been around for many years. She took one look at him and said, we got to start because he's got days to live. So she started off with a very slow dose of vitamin C. That's what your body needs. So it was a slow dose of that because of how he was, the condition he was when he arrived. It was over, I think, 3.5 hours that it was through intravenous.
Hmm.
And so we started off with that. And after like I'd say the third treatment, the jitter stopped. And the sores around his mouth and nose started healing instantly. Like
Wow.
he looked normal again. Like, he was sick. You can tell he was sick, but you
Yeah.
can tell it was helping him. He was a little bit more energetic. And at that point, it kept him alive for 2 months. It didn't save his life because he was already too far gone. But it's kept him alive for 2 months.
Hmm. Interesting.
Um, yeah,
Very
it's
powerful story. I mean, I think, viewers, if you're watching this right now, and obviously some of you never heard of naturopathic medicine or witnessing it for the first time. First of all, this is not a medical show. We are not giving medical advice. I want to be very clear here. Shirley is sharing her perspective on her personal experience, and what she went through. So I want to honor you for that, and thank you for sharing that. Okay, so you obviously saw a huge difference. He was doing chemo, things were looking really bad. You went to the naturopathic medicine. You did some form of treatment, according to you, vitamin C therapy, and he improved once he started getting the treatments. After the third treatment, you're like, oh my goodness, his face is looking better. He still sadly passed away, but that was an eye opener for you to some degree, it sounds like.
absolutely, yeah, it
Absolutely.
was.
Okay. So let's fast forward.
Yeah.
You come to the gym. When did you come to our facility?
I joined the end of September.
Okay, so it's end of September. And folks, if you're watching this right now, this is, you can be seeing this 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We are in the heat of COVID right now. It's 1 year from that. It is March 30th, I believe, 2021. She would have come to our gym September 2020, in the heat of COVID. So this is the time of the COVID period. So you come to the gym. Tell us about why you came to the gym, how you found out about the gym, and what you experienced while you were there, like your successes.
So I found out through Melissa. She is a member of, or was a member of, Pickering.
Fitness and Wellness Center.
Yeah. So she introduced me to your facility. I met with you. I heard lots about you. Um,
A lot of good things, I hope.
no, coach, no, I'm joking. No, a lot of good things. Absolutely, because I wouldn't have joined if that were the case.
Yeah.
So I met with you. We spoke. I told you a little bit about myself. I used to train with my cousin in her home. And then I gave up after a while. I just kind of fell off the wagon, I guess they say. I lost a lot of weight with her. And then I started gaining weight back again. When I joined with you, I was 161 when I was weighed.
Okay.
My goal was to go down to 140 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I did reach that goal. Thanks to you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I worked really hard. I know at one point we were in the gym. I was trying to go, at first I was going 3 days a week. Then I started 4. And then the gym shut down. Yeah. And then I started doing Zoom.
The gym shut down, folks, because once again, if you're watching this, because of COVID.
COVID.
Those that are watching this years later, go on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but when I was in the gym, it was one Friday we were doing deadlifts. And I noticed that my back was starting to bother me, my lower back. So I know at one point I was doing deadlifts with nothing. Then I started adding on weight. And then that's when I started noticing that my back was not right. Mm-hmm. So I took off the weights. But then over time, I noticed it started getting worse and worse. Mm-hmm. So when I was doing Zoom, I don't know if you remember the one class, I had a spasm during the class. You told me that's enough. Yeah. I lay on the floor. I was actually in a lot of pain. Mm-hmm. Then I just couldn't do it anymore. I know at one point you had me just doing my upper body without me having to bend over. But the pain just started getting worse. So with that being said, I started going to chiropractor, seeing a chiropractor. I even did acupuncture. I noticed after the chiropractor, I was feeling better, but then later on, I started feeling worse again.
Mm-hmm. And what did you think was wrong at the time? Do you remember what your sciatic nerve?
Yeah, I thought it was just sciatica at that point. To be honest, that's what it felt like. It was a bit of discomfort in my hip, and then started in my lower back. Okay. Then after I think I've seen the chiropractor at least 6 times.
Okay.
6 times.
So she would have started in September, and just so these people have a timeline, right now, like I said, it's March 30th, 2021. When did you start seeing professionals for your back issue? Roughly, we don't need exact dates. In general, people have timelines of like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, in January, because I was rushed to the hospital in February.
So you would have seen you would have done 6 acupuncture appointments. Chiro appointments. You done acupuncture, right? Yeah. You've done a series of different things. And then when did you come to realize, okay, wait a minute, maybe it's not this, or did an episode happen where you had to figure out more information, or you got tested for something and then you randomly found out, oh my God, I have, cancer. How did that come about?
So I remember seeing the chiropractor. I think it was the last time I went there, and I asked him, I said, should I be concerned because now I'm getting spasms in my back? Mm-hmm. And he said, no, I'm pretty confident. You're okay. It's just you're having some muscle spasms, and you'll get better over time. Mm-hmm. I said, okay. Then I came home. It was on February 27th. I
Okay.
was here and I went to go get up, and the spasms were so intense. The pain was unreal.
Unbearable.
I like to the point where my eyes were bulging out of my head. That's how
Yeah.
intense it was. I sat on the couch. I couldn't even move.
Mm.
And I said to my boyfriend, like, give me some ice packs to put underneath. I tried ice. I was trying heat. I did
Everything.
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 So I said, you know what, you need to call 911. So called 911. They took me to North York General Hospital. Um, it was quite the ordeal because the stretcher could not fit in the elevator. So trying to get into a chair was,
Folks, just if you're watching this, I have visited Shirley in her home where she is right now. Those elevators are very, very small.
yeah,
So yes,
yeah,
it is true. The stretcher could not fit. And you're on what? I believe the seventh floor.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I had to get up into the chair, down to the lobby, into the stretcher, and then transferred to another bed when I got to the hospital. So you can imagine what I went through. It was,
And you're still thinking sciatic nerve.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I had no idea. I had no idea.
Hmm.
Then they did a scan, a
And what
CT,
hospital did you go to?
North York General.
So you go to North York General. Here you are. You're in super agony pain. Your
Yeah.
body's killing you. Somebody just please help me. What happens? You get to the hospital. What? Just walk us through kind of like what happened, how long you were there, what test you did,
Yeah.
so on and so forth.
So when I first got there, I actually begged the nurse for medication to help with the pain. She said, okay, the doctor will be here shortly. The doctor came in. He asked me what the situation was.
Hmm.
And then he said, okay, we'll run some tests. We're going to do a scan. I said, okay.
Yeah.
So they give me the medication right away.
And what type of scan? CT scan, MRI scan?
They did it all. They did CT scan. So they did the CT scan first. Then they took me out of the room. I was in the hall, and a doctor came to me and said, we saw the CT scan and we're showing a tumor, a mass in your lower back. I'm sorry to tell you, you have cancer.
Hmm.
I was like, what?
So you're
What?
shocked because you go from sciatic nerve, all these issues with your lower back, nothing, it's a big deal, stems from, probably pulled something in the deadlift. Meanwhile, it was something much bigger.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you get your first test results back because obviously they would have done the whole 9 yards, right? And he
Yeah.
says, sorry to tell you have cancer. What was that like to hear that for the very first time?
Very devastating. I, I was like, how can you say I have cancer when you haven't even done any tests other than a CT scan? How
Mhm.
can you tell me it's cancer? You don't know it's cancer. And I'm by myself.
Mm.
My first thing I'm saying is, oh my gosh, how am I going to tell my kids?
Mhm.
How am I going to break this news to my children?
Mhm.
You know, I know I'm going to have to tell them sooner or later. And then my kids were trying to call the hospital to
Mhm.
get through to somebody to find out because of COVID.
Mm.
They were like, what's going on with my mom? Like, what's happening?
Mhm.
So, anyways, finally they got in touch with the doctor. Then they brought me to a room. They said I have to stay. At that point, I'm on really heavy duty medication, like really heavy duty stuff. What was it called? Hydromorphine. It
Mm.
was even stronger than morphine. So I was pretty high. I was not feeling any pain. Anyway, so then they ended up doing a MRI. So they wanted to check and see if it was located anywhere else. So they did it with contrast, so it lit up my body. They did a X-ray on my chest. Now I was a smoker. You notice how I said was? I quit. I quit and I did it. Since I've been in the hospital, I couldn't even move to go for one. So you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, well, might as well just stop. And I did a cold turkey. I did it with nothing,
Yeah.
zero, not even a patch, nothing. And then if I went back, my kids would kill me. So, and it's only for my own good. So, because I'm feeding my body with toxins, right? So,
Yeah.
so they did a chest X-ray. They also did an X-ray of every bone in my body, and nothing showed, nothing. So I'm like, okay, that's a beautiful thing. So the doctor came to see me. He said, well, we need to figure out where it came from.
Mm.
It came from somewhere. I said, okay. So we're going to do a bone marrow biopsy, because I guess at that point they were thinking myeloma,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't 100%. Normally with myeloma, your blood work is all over the place. Mine wasn't. It was a little off, but it wasn't all over the place.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing a marrow biopsy. I was in my bed. They did it right in my bed.
And how was that procedure? Was that painful or no?
It wasn't that bad. So they froze the area. The only part that was not comfortable was when he said, okay, I guess the needle went into the bone and they had to turn to take a piece.
Yeah.
That was the only uncomfortable part of it.
And just uncomfortable, not painful?
Not painful, no.
Okay.
Just like a pull.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
A different feeling, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So they did that. But at this point, I was in bed for about 3 days, not moving. And I'm like to the doctor, like, is someone going to come in, like a physiotherapist, to help me? I want to get out of bed. I don't want to be in bed. He's like, no, that wasn't arranged yet. I said, no. He said, okay, well, I'll arrange it. So the guy comes, brings me a walker. I go to get out of bed. My legs are like rubber. I was like, oh my, like it was pretty bad. So anyways, you know what, I'm determined. I need to get up. I need to get walking and I need to get out of that hospital. So he brought me a walker, helped me out of the bed, and I started walking slowly, and I was doing okay. My legs weren't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was going, sorry, I'm going to back up a little bit, coach. Sorry. Because I couldn't go to the washroom. And it's everyone, and I don't know who's going to see this video, but I'm going to express this. When you can't go to the washroom and you can't go number 2 and you have to do it in the bed, I'm like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. I just can't. I had to get to that washroom. And that's when the nurse started helping me to the washroom, sorry, before the physiotherapist came in. So my legs got a little bit stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And then the physiotherapist came in, brought me my walker. I walked around the hospital, like the floor about 2 times, and that was it. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing this on my own. So I started walking myself. All the nurses were like, wow, you're determined. Yeah, I am. I want to get out of here.
Okay. So how long you stayed in the hospital? 7 days?
No, I got out, I was 6 days.
6 days in the hospital. Okay. So, and what day did you leave that hospital?
I left on wait, was it 6 days? Yeah, it was a Friday. Yes, I went on the Saturday and got it on the Friday.
Okay, so since then, what has transpired from the time you go to the hospital, you find out it's cancer, and what was it for our viewers again? What was the name?
Myeloma.
Myeloma, and where is it located?
In my lower back on my right side. So it's in my L2.
Okay, it's in your L2. So
Yeah.
since you leave that hospital, what has happened in your life in regards to like work, seeing different methodologies for treatment? Your life has changed, your kid's life has changed, and here we are sitting down right now, and Pickering Fitness and Wellness Center, we have raised some money for you. Hopefully we hit our goal. We'll share that maybe in another video or whatnot, but what's happened since then? What's going on right now? Right, because obviously I could see you're in huge discomfort. I don't want to keep you on this much longer. It seems like you can't move that much. You obviously have very limited range of motion. You're sitting all day. What's been happening?
Well, I, like you said, I have to sit down all day. I can't, I have to keep adjusting myself because I have a fracture in my L2.
You have a fracture in your L2. Okay.
Yeah, and that's from the tumor.
The tumor fractured your spine.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and how big is this tumor?
3 centimeters.
3 centimeters. Does it look like a golf ball? Like
No,
a golf ball?
it's really tiny. It's really small, but it's
Okay.
intertwined in my spine. So
Interesting.
that's the difficult part. So I started treatment with the naturopathic doctor, Dr. Zoya, where my husband went to because she is amazing. Please, if anyone ever wants to find a naturopathic doctor, she is by far amazing. And it's called Stop the Clock. I just let everybody know that. But so what happened was, because there was kind of a misunderstanding, because it's intertwined in my spine, it cannot surgically be removed. So with that being said, I have to have radiation.
Okay.
What my naturopathic doctor misunderstood was I'm going in for surgery tomorrow.
Okay.
And
So actually tomorrow you're going into surgery. So today's Tuesday, folks. You're going into surgery tomorrow. What time?
I'm going at 7:45. I have to be there at 6 a.m.
Okay. So in the next 15 hours or so, you're going to be under the knife.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And what is this procedure that you're having? What exactly is happening?
Okay. So because the tumor is intertwined within my spine, it cannot surgically be removed. So the cancer has deteriorated my bone on my L2. So their concern is, if they do radiation, what's going to happen is the tumor is going to shrink and my bone is just going to collapse.
Also, right now, like the tumor's kind of holding the bone together.
Yeah.
We'll say,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So their concern is, so what the doctor said is, I want to talk to a spine specialist to get his opinion.
Sure.
Because in my opinion, the bone will collapse.
Mhm.
So within 15 minutes, I'm down seeing a spine surgeon, and he looked at my images and he said, yes, it will definitely collapse. And it's very excruciating. The pain is pretty intense, more than what I experienced already. And
Mhm.
I wouldn't even be able to walk.
Mhm.
So he said, are you okay with, we're considering doing surgery. So what they want to do is they want to fuse my L1 and L3 with screws. So they're not going to cut me open. They're just going to drill 2 holes, and it's all going to be done on, I guess, X-ray or
Mhm.
whatever.
Microscopic.
Yeah, so they're
Mhm.
going to fuse the L1 and L3. So that way my L2 is protected from collapsing.
Oh, okay. This is very clear for myself and our viewers. I have a very clear picture of what's happening. Okay. So how has your life changed since you've gone through this ordeal?
Oh, coach, it's changed.
Discovering that you've had cancer to where you were sitting down on your couch pretty much all day, every day.
Yeah. So I try to get up
Are you
every once
still
in a while.
working? Let's start
I'm
with, do
not
you work?
working.
Okay,
I'm
you're
not working.
working. So you've had to stop work.
I had to, because I can't sit
Yeah.
up for long
Okay.
periods.
And who's your main caregiver?
My daughter, Brittany.
Your daughter Brittany. And has her life stopped?
Um, yeah, I have to tell her to go to my other daughters just to get a break,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
here all the time, cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, and I feel bad. Like, she's only 24 years old, right? But she doesn't mind. And, I'm her mother, and
I get it.
she'll
Yeah.
do anything for me, right?
What lessons have been learned in this journey?
Don't take life for granted.
Mm.
Don't take, I had learned throughout, because I lost 4 people in my life within a matter of 3 years. So I lost my dad, my husband, my mom, and my brother
4 people in 36 months.
in 3 years. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So my dad passed with massive heart attack. A year later, my husband with cancer. And then it was 3 years later, my mom, she was just sick overall. She had COPD. And my brother had lung cancer. And he died within 6 weeks. So, I mean, being on a healthier road is big for me. I've changed my diet completely. My Dr. Zoya has put me on, and I will show you. It's a big list right here.
Mhm.
do's and don'ts
Can you
of what.
share just can you just share some of the do's and don'ts so that our viewers that are watching, because
Yeah,
you got to remember this is
absolutely.
also an educational program. We want our people to, learn and be like, oh, okay, I was doing that. Maybe I should remove that from my life.
Yeah,
We don't have to wait to get sick before
yeah,
we make a change, right? Because prevention is better than cure.
yeah. Well, I was considering becoming vegan, but with meeting Dr. Zoya, she doesn't suggest that right now, only because my bones need protein to keep strong. But with that being said, I can have chicken, but it has to be, so I'll kind of read here.
So I'm guessing organic, grass-fed chicken.
Right, yes,
Mhm.
yes. So we went to, well, I didn't. My boyfriend went to Whole Foods
Mhm.
because they also have fish there that is raised in a separate tank than the other ones, and they're what was it called again? They're fed
So
in a certain.
so one of the suggestions was change your diet, eat more organic. What else did she say you need to do?
So I'm juicing now.
Juicing.
I'm
Okay,
juicing.
so a lot of fruits and vegetables.
No, fruits, no. I
Okay,
have to keep away from fruits
vegetables.
because of the sugar.
Okay, sure. Okay,
Yeah.
what else did she say you should do?
Also too, so all fresh vegetables, and then juicing, Fuzi is ground, so I have to keep away from grains. I cannot eat any grains
No
because,
grains. Yeah.
yeah, when it comes to any type of nut that I'm eating, I have to soak it first
Soak it in what?
in water. But I also
And
have,
what's the purpose of soaking nuts in water?
because it's harder to digest, the shell, like almonds, for example. It has a coating. It's
Mm.
harder to digest. So she says better to um, boil them first to make them softer. So
Mm.
so basically what she's trying to do is she's trying to make my gut healthier. Because if your gut is not healthier, what it does is if you have any gases or anything, it presses against your spine, which
Mm.
causes pressure.
Okay.
So
Okay.
she's trying to clean my gut.
There you go. And what supplements are you taking, if any, right now?
I have right now she's given me magnesium oxide.
Okay, magnesium oxide. Okay.
Yeah, 5 times a day.
So it sounds like you're doing a combination of best of both worlds. You right. You're using the
Yeah,
allopathic world for the surgery / radiation, and then
yeah,
you're also using the naturopathic world for the supplements and gut health and other things that you're doing too.
yeah.
So essentially, you're taking the best of both worlds and you're trying to make it work in order to get healthy. Is that a clear statement?
Yes, absolutely it is. Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
good, good.
yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that our viewers need to know about or you want to share about, before we close off here? Because first of all, I want to thank you for what you shared with me and everybody else. I really hope that people who are watching this, they could be impacted by this. They can change their life. They know that there are ways to fix what you're going through. We have Shirley here, who is a shining example of not throwing in the towel, giving it her all. She's going to get through this. I know she's going to get through this. She's going to get on the other side, right? Is there any advice you want to give us further to enlighten us, a takeaway from your experience, whether it's about, the cancer, your family, work, health? What nuggets do you want to share with us before we close off?
I honestly believe health is everything. What you put into your body is everything. Um, you know, a lot of the foods we eat today is, sorry, coach, give me 1 second. Is
Contaminated.
yeah,
That's a
contaminated.
good word. Contaminated. GMO,
Yeah,
filled with things that we don't even know the names of. You turn the label and you can't even pronounce it. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Processed.
Um,
Yeah.
no, unfortunately, with my case, uh, I said right from the beginning to the doctor, I refuse to do chemotherapy. I refuse. And he got a little defensive on that one. He got a little defensive. I have to say, he got defensive. And he says, well, you know, you do what you want to do. And even when I went for the radiation, the doctor was really nice, but he did say to me, so I was told that you don't want to do chemotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, I don't. I seen what it did to my husband. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't. But even meeting with Dr. Zoya was so relieving. I just, she said to me, you're going to be good. You're going to be okay. The problem with myeloma is the bones. It's hard to, when you're dealing with the bones, it's a little bit harder. But she's dealt with patients that had myeloma before. I mean, it's all about what you eat. It's what you put in your body. Exercise is so important. My concern is because now I'm going to have these screws in my back. It's not going to stop me from working out, but I'm going to have to make adjustments. It's obvious. But I won't stop. Just don't stop believing in yourself. Don't stop don't ever give up on yourself, basically, because I didn't give up on myself. I'm not going anywhere. You'll see me back in the gym, I promise you. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Guys, oh, I'm so glad that you were here to watch this. This was a fantastic interview. Shirley, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on Coffee and Tea with Coach B. And I really hope that she was able to impact you like the way she's impacted me and many of you who will be watching this. And I really hope this video will inspire you to change your life, to make better decisions, and not take your life for granted. Thank you so much, Shirley, for joining us on Coffee and Tea with Coach B. And you guys, I'll see you next time.
Thanks, Coach.